Hello and welcome to Redesigned Rose. If you are new here, my name is Jen. The very first video that I released on my channel a couple of years ago, I did briefly mention this string art that I have hanging on the wall here. And I have had so many requests for a tutorial on how to make it. And I'm happy to say today's the day we're gonna do that. I'm gonna walk you through just how easy it is to make this. It is a bit time consuming. I will be completely upfront with you about that. But if you're not afraid to either work on a long project in one sitting or be able to have it setting out and just work on it a little bit at a time until it's done, this one's for you. I want to say the inspiration came from this Crate and Barrel. I think it was Crate and Barrel or Pottery Barn. One of the two was selling something similar to this for well over $1,000. I made mine for $85. So yes, if you are ready to learn how to make this, it's super fun. You can make this for your own wall decor at home, or if you know me by now, we love making gifts. This will make a fantastic gift. The one I'm making today is actually going to be a gift for my oldest son. He's moving into a house. He's in the military, and so going from apartment living to house living is going to be a really big deal for him. So having something from mom is definitely gonna, well, is hopefully gonna mean something to him. But stay tuned. We're gonna make this together, and I'm gonna walk you through each step. You can do this. Let's go. Okay, we are here in my dining room. I did need a table big enough. This particular canvas I'm gonna do is a size 24 by 36. It's gonna be more rectangular versus the square one that I have up on the wall. The other thing that I messed up on is I ordered, this came in 2 canvases and they're really, really thin. So I did glue and tape these together because having that thicker edge on here is really gonna, I think, makes the custom difference on this. And I'll show you. If you look at the edge of mine, you'll see it's almost 3 fingers wide. So just having that thicker edge, I think, makes a big difference. So I realize gluing these together is not cost effective whatsoever. But I will say, I didn't want to delay doing this tutorial anymore. I will say that both Hobby Lobby and Michael's will each have their canvases go on sale, usually 40–50% off. I highly suggest, or even buy one, get one free. That's what I did with this large one here. So I highly suggest waiting until they at least go on sale. Don't pay full price. I believe these I got for $30. The other item you're gonna need, this is some cotton baker's twine. It is 4-ply. I'm gonna link all of these in the description below for you. But this is 3,000 feet. I will not need more than this for this. I believe I paid about $19 for this. You're gonna need a pair of scissors. This thing right here with these monstrous staples is gonna be your best friend in making this so much easier. I highly suggest. This is gonna be the only thing maybe you don't have lying around your house, but they're not that expensive. I don't know the price right offhand, but I definitely suggest getting one of these. Then you're gonna want some white duct tape. Yeah, duct tape. Comes in colors, if you didn't know. All kinds of fun ones. You're gonna want some white, and then you're also gonna want some white double-sided tape. Those are gonna be your only supplies that we're gonna need. And then I'm gonna walk you through this. Let's get started. This is gonna be fun. First thing we're gonna wanna do is find the end of our string here. Now, what I wanna do is create a bunch of cuts. Now, these are all gonna be different. My square string art that I did, they could all be the same size because it didn't matter if they were going vertical or horizontal. This one I'm gonna have to make vertical lengths and horizontal lengths because obviously this is more rectangular. So what I want to do, you want to make sure you take this and wrap it over the edge and have a little extra. You want to have extra rather than being too short, because we can always trim off the extra. So I'm going to measure about this is going to be my vertical length. And then I will measure one for my horizontal. Let's see. So I've probably got an extra 2 to 3 inches after I wrap that around. And don't overthink it, just have some extra on there. You'll be fine, I promise. Okay, so now that I've got my horizontal, what I want to do, and this is the time-consuming, tedious part, is we're going to cut lots and lots of these. Okay, just kidding, that would take forever. So if I take this piece of cardboard that I grabbed from a box, and what I have measured is it's almost twice the length here. So that's only going to be a little bit more excess than I wanted, and to save me time, it's going to be okay. And I'll show you why. All we're going to do is wrap this way. And so just to show you, I would keep going, but just to show you sooner rather than later, I'm going to go ahead and snip this off. And then what we'll end up doing is just taking this end and cutting that, and then see how many we already have. Now what we'll do, I'm going to do this a lot more times. What we want to do with our double-sided tape, and this is carpet tape, you can use whatever kind of double-sided tape you want. I just wanted something really strong. Because I don't want this to go anywhere. So what I want to do with that double-sided tape is go ahead and line it up along the edge, as close to the edge as possible here, but I definitely don't want it to come out to the very edge. And I am just going to do this much so far. We will end up going all the way down. And then I'm gonna peel off the paper from that. Okay, and now I wanna go ahead and take a few of these, and they do love to get tangled. I forgot to tell you my secret weapon. Yep, a comb. Because this stuff likes to get tangled, just combing this out is gonna save your life. I wanna actually comb these out. You want them to try to be as flat as possible. Don't worry about the rest of it yet. That's actually more of what we have the comb for than anything. And I'm gonna go ahead and paste these down. I'm gonna start right here. And now remember, this is the back, so I'm gonna put this here so I can wrap it around the front. Then what we'll do is with our duct tape, I'm gonna get a piece of this and go right over top of the double-sided tape. And again, I'm gonna press down really hard just to make sure each one of these strands is engaged with either the double-sided tape on the bottom or the duct tape on the top. And I've gotten to the end here, and so just to keep that in place, we're gonna be using the duct tape again. And we will put one on the front and one on the back. And just kind of sandwich those together. And that should help keep this in line for when we are ready to turn this over, start weaving. That's gonna work beautifully. Now, so each one of these, this one is a little bit thicker with more strings. I wanna make these in widths that vary. I don't want them all to be the same. So this next one, this one is a little too thin. So I'm gonna add some more to this. So that's better. So that's gonna be a little bit thinner, but not too thin. Okay, so for this next one, this is where it's gonna get a little bit different. We wanna take this and put it as close to, just slightly overlapping by like maybe one strand next to the one we just put down. Then we are going to tape that down really well. And we're gonna throw a staple in here. See how easy that is? And then we'll gently comb the rest out. We don't want to pull any of our strings out. It can happen. I just love the texture of this cotton twine. It has little imperfections in it that I think add to the texture of this art. I am also toying with the idea of doing one of these with some jute twine, just for a color variation. Okay, so once again, actually take that one so it doesn't go to waste. And then I'm gonna place that down on top of some tape and take some more tape to seal that up. And just so I don't have any stickies grabbing onto anything they're not supposed to, I'll do that. And then I can just hang this down over the edge. And I'm gonna keep going all the way down, again, varying lengths. And then I'm also gonna do one of these edges going vertical. And when I have that side filled up and this side filled up, I'm gonna flip it over and start weaving each one of these sections and then stapling those down on the other sides there. So off we go. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna lay these up just as close as possible and as flat as possible. You don't want the string to bulk up underneath the tape. And so again, just as close to the edge as I can, press that down. And you do want to be generous with your staples. I know it's going to take quite a few, but it does help in trying to get all of this to stay put. And you don't ever have to worry about it coming out again. Okay, so once I've combed through that entire length, that's when I can lay this down and tape the end. And again, just as flat as possible. And then we're just gonna sandwich this in. Press that down. And then I'll trim off the edges. Okay, it is day 2 for me. Wanted to show you the progress of where we're at. So as you can see, the long side of this project is done. And I've just got that hanging over the edge for right now. And of course, each one of these ends are taped. So now what I'm gonna work on is getting this side done. And then I'll be able to flip this over and start doing the weaving. Okay, so what I'm doing here is just adding some hot glue. The corners are a bit tricky, so you do have to play with them a little bit. As you can see, I want to get that glue just as close to the edge as possible. That way the strings are going to be covering that corner and not exposing the canvas. So just place some hot glue on there, hold it down until it's dry, and then go ahead and start on the other side to make that wrap. And again, just the glue right there on the edge. Be careful not to burn yourself. The rest of the weaving is much easier. Again, just these corners are a little more tricky in having to play with these and getting them glued down. You won't be gluing down every time you cross over. It's actually only going to be every few rows, and you'll see that as the tutorial moves on here. Once you have the corner glued down, what we'll start doing for this very first row is just starting to lay each one of these sections into a completely random weaving pattern. We're not going to glue any of these down quite yet. I want to go ahead and get this entire first row laid down. If anything is too crooked, I do want to straighten it out a little bit, especially on this edge, but it's not too important to do at this time, because once we get each one of these sections laid down, we'll come back and I'll show you momentarily how we'll go ahead and tack that down so that we have a really good starting base to continue the rest of the canvas. This is where you get to be completely creative. You want to make your pattern as random as possible. You don't want any 2 rows the same. You can lay down 3 or 4 sections at a time, lay down 1 and 1. Just be completely creative and random. And there's no wrong way to do this. That's what's so fun about it. So just gonna continue weaving all the way down to the end of this row. I'm gonna speed this up for you so you don't have to wait and watch me do it. And now, giving an overhead view, this is where it gets a little bit tedious. Again, for this first row, we just want to really set this up so that as we continue to weave each one of these sections, starting from here and moving all the way to the top, we don't want these sections to come loose, especially because they're wrapping around that edge of the canvas. And we want to keep the edge completely covered and not let any of these strings go haywire on us. So all I'm doing here is just combing those nice and straight over the edge and then lifting up each section. I want to make sure that they're going to go straight and not off to the left or off to the right. I'm going to put down just a little bit of glue and hold those down until it's got a firm grip. Obviously not until it's completely dry, but I want to scoot each section just like I was laying them down before they got stapled. I want them to be right up next to each other, if anything, overlapped by a strand or two, just so there's no gaps. And I'm going to do that with each one of these sections, just kind of manipulating that a little bit, separating from each one of the sections that I've woven. Give them a good comb just to make sure that they're nice and straight. There will be some that are not completely straight, and that's okay. That's what adds to the texture of the project. You definitely don't want to overthink this. You just want to have it in your mind that you want to get each one of these sections laid down nice and tight and glued down so that the rest of this can go a lot quicker. So just speeding this up just to give you a visual of a couple of more sections, just to get the idea. Obviously, I'm going to do this all the way down to the end of the row. This is also the perfect time to throw on an audiobook or even half watch a favorite TV show, but you can really start to see how this comes together and just how beautiful this starts to look. I'm so excited. So as I start the second row, what I've done is peeled back some random sections from the long side of the project, and I've grabbed the second section from the short side of the project. And even though each one of the ends are taped, these sections do like to twist. As you can see, some of the sections on the canvas look like they've been twisted. So it doesn't take too long to comb these out, just a quick little comb to pull them nice and tight. And then you can't really see it, I apologize, but on the end of the canvas there, all I'm doing is putting a little hot glue on the edge to hold that next section. Then I grab the third section from the short side of the canvas, and now I am just doing some weaving, just random peeling back and pulling forward each section, just again, not to copy the row that I did before. The more random, the better. It will give more variance, it'll give more texture, and it will make it look just completely custom. So again, no wrong way to do this. Just enjoy it and have fun. Don't overthink it, and just weave these in and out and start to see this beautiful piece of art come to life. So for each one of the sections that we're grabbing from the short side of the canvas and stretching across like I'm doing here, we just want to line up just as close as possible again, overlap by 1 or 2 strands, just to be sure the edge of that canvas is going to be completely covered. And that's the only part we're going to glue down for now. That is going to hold it in place so that we can continue grabbing more sections and weaving across. Now this is what I'm going to continue to do with each section as I work up a few more rows. And after I've done that, I'm going to show you another, what I call tacking row, where we're going to secure what we've done before we move forward. So now that I've woven a few rows, what I want to do is, just like we did for the first row, this is where I'm going to manipulate each one of those sections, do any little extra fine tooth combing, no pun intended, And I'm going to adjust, make sure they're pulled straight, make sure there's as little gaps as possible. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take just a little bit of glue and get that mess off of my canvas first. But I'll take a little bit of glue and glue down each one of these sections. And I'm gonna do this probably every 5 to 10 rows, just depending on how much movement I see in each one of my sections. And again, this is just a way to keep everything in place as I'm working it up. It's not to be done on every row. That would take way too much glue and way too much time, and it's just not needed. So again, I'll just take each one of those sections, get a little bit of combing done in there, and I'm wiggling that back and forth just to try to lay everything flat underneath those 3 horizontal strands that you can see there, and making sure that I do, again, pull those up straight as possible and not too much to the right or left. A little bit's gonna be fine. Definitely, again, don't overthink it, but we just want to tack those down and make them nice and strong so that we can go ahead and continue to weave our next few rows. So here I am, almost reaching the top of the canvas, and these last few rows I'm just going to do like I did starting with the 3rd row. I'm just going to comb these out, lay them across, and glue them on the edge of the canvas, and just continuing that random weaving pattern. This is where you can really see how they like to twist, and sometimes just untwisting it before you comb it is going to be the easier route, because again, they're not tangled, they're just twisted. So it should not take too much to comb through these at all. So I wanted to give you a close-up of this corner. Again, the corners are probably the trickiest part, but it's okay, we can do this. What we want to do is go ahead and put as much glue on the top and bottom section there. And we'll do this first to go ahead and pull that nice and tight and straight and hold it in place for a few seconds so that that glue can grab onto the strands. And you're going to find that the edge strands are going to try to come loose on you. So what we're going to do, just like it slipped right there, is put some glue again on that very, very edge. And that's going to help hold those in place. Try to bring your strands all the way to the very, very edge. Don't burn yourself, the glue is hot, but that way everything is going to be covered, and when we take the other side to meet up with this section, there won't be any of that canvas exposed. So we'll just pull that tight and scoot it all the way to the edge, trying not to further tangle that section. And so all I'm doing here, I'm just holding it in place, just really trying to let that glue grab on before I go ahead and glue this next section. Taking the comb and pulling the strands to the edge is also going to help. And you may need to adjust this a couple of times, but it is kind of important to try to get the corner as best you can. So I'm going to go ahead and tack this section down, and I can go back to the other section because the glue isn't completely dry. I can go ahead and lift that up just a little bit and move some of those strands over to help close up that gap. And then it helps, of course, to put some glue on that very corner where the seam is. And then we can just take those strands that we lifted up and glue those in place. And I like to pinch the edges together a little bit. Again, it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. It's all part of the whole art look and process. And I'm just going to hold those down as much as I can to keep those in place. Then I'm going to move on to the next section, and all I'm doing here is taking each one of these sections and I'm just gluing them on the wrap side. They've already all been woven. It's almost time to finish up this project. Just lining them up right next to each other or slightly overlapping is always best. And I'll just continue to do this all the way down the row. And here, just speeding up, showing you again, tacking each one of these sections down before we get to flip this project over. So here we are. I have flipped this over, and I do have two edges that are already stapled down. Those are the ones that we initially attached. And now it's time to staple the ones we've just woven. Now, some of these were a little too much excess, and I knew that that would happen. That's okay. This is where we can repair that by trimming these down. And then we will do the new sandwiches with tape and then go ahead and staple them down. And this is the final edge and the final part of this process. This is where, even though this part seems like a little bit of a pain, it's exciting to be doing it, because once this whole row is stapled down to the edge of the canvas, this is where we get to flip over our project once again and just see how all of the work we just did came to life. So again, we want to be generous with the staples. Go ahead and staple each one of those down, trim off any that are too long, like this next one, and that way there's not too much of the tape hanging into the center of the canvas. I suppose you wouldn't have to do this, but you would at least need to put in some tape closer to the edge of the canvas so that you have something to staple instead of just the strings. It does help secure that, just like the other edges, and just makes for a neater finish. No matter the size of canvas, it's going to look absolutely stunning and custom. It is going to be something that you created and something you can enjoy for years to come. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this tutorial helped, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.